Hello and welcome to this edition of the Gold, Ghosts, and Guns Short News. My name is Tom Luongo. It is Sunday, August 5th, 2018, and I want to talk about Bill Browder. I want to follow up on what I talked about in yesterday's report on this, because I went over a lot of things really quickly, because yesterday I was focused on the new sanctions bill from Lindsay Graham. And I think it's important, though, that everybody understands why it is that they all freaked out after the Helsinki summit. And it wasn't just about Putin invoking Bill Browder's name at the summit. It was they were trying to stop this thing from happening in the first place. They didn't want Trump and Putin to meet. And why would they not? Because when you put it all together, and I've got an article up on my blog right now over at goldgoatsandguns.com, which kind of ticks all the boxes and just kind of goes through the timeline pretty quickly while giving you links to the work of people like Lee Stranahan and Lucy Commissar and the story of Martin Armstrong, because it's all kind of tied together into one neat little package that spans the last 20 years. Okay. In 1999, when Putin took over, Browder and company, Republic National Bank head Edmund Saffer and others, were trying to set up Boris Yeltsin for stealing $7 billion from the IMF. This is Martin Armstrong's assertion. Putin was appointed by Yeltsin as his last decent act as Prime Minister of Russia, or President of Russia. Putin took over as prime minister a few days later. Yeltsin resigned in 2000, and that's when everything changed. Browder and company and all of them were all involved in this, and the goal of the setup against Yeltsin was to take over Russia and put Boris Berezovsky in charge, who was in their pocket, and then they would commence the real and total raping of Russia, which Putin thwarted completely. Well, not completely, but close enough. So that's where it started, and it's continued to this day. And the same people who were involved in this then, who wield tremendous power behind the scenes, are behind everything that we've seen in the degradation of the U.S.-Russian relations over the past, 6-7 years, since the Magnitsky Act was passed in 2011, which gave the United States president the ability to sanction not only individuals, but individual companies. No longer could you just sanction countries. And that was the big thing. And now the Magnitsky Act is being used and wants to be used as a template for sanctions, economic sanction legislation the world over, as a means by which to unperson and destroy and target individual people and individual companies in order to enforce a particular global order. You with me so far? Because Browder last year was instrumental in getting the expiring Magnitsky Act re-upped as the new version, which is even worse than the original one. And now Lindsey Graham wants to put another one on top of that. So the big question is, and I think this has been lost on everyone, most people and including myself, while Helsinki was happening and they were all freaking out, including myself, I'm freaking out that the intelligence community is staging a civil war against, trying to start a civil war and stage a coup against the sitting president. And now I understand why. Because Putin knows what Browder and all of them did. If there's one person on this planet who understands just how much hinky shit these guys were involved in, and how deeply our government was involved in the process as well, in order to overthrow Russia, install a puppet, and then rape it of trillions of dollars of mineral and oil and gas wealth. This was the goal. If there's one person on this planet who understands what was done and has the data it's Vladimir Putin. And so what were they scared of? A closed-door meeting between Putin and Trump and no one else? Putin showing Trump the truth. And I remember watching the post-Helsinki summit press conference and noting to myself that Trump looked tired and he looked worn out and not really himself. He wasn't really engaged in that press conference, especially reading his statement, until after he got engaged by the question, where he could then go on about fake news and all the other stuff that gets him riled up. But his initial response was a man who looked tired. But somebody said to me, I don't know whether it was a subscriber or a commenter on a YouTube video or what, that Trump could have easily looked like someone who just got a whole lot of information that rocked his world and sapped him of his energy. That, to me, fits with all of this. So now the question is, what's next? What comes after this? What are Trump and Putin trying to pull off here? And why is everybody freaking out? Why all of a sudden do we need even stronger sanctions on Russia? Why do we need to stop the Nord Stream pipeline even though Trump doesn't really want to stop it anymore? He understands that it's not the way going forward. But we've got two new bills in Congress, the new sanctions bill from Lindsay Graham and another one just blatantly just saying sanction every company, ordering the president to sanction every company who's going to be involved in building the Nord Stream pipeline. Do you understand what that means? That means sanctioning major oil companies all across Europe. Royal Dutch Shell, OMV, Wintershall, Eni, or Engie. I mean, we're talking about 5 of the major companies in Europe. That's not even including all the oil servicing, the pipe layers and the concrete guys and all that stuff. And I've been saying for a long time now that this has been a coordinated effort. And if you really start thinking about the Skripal poisoning, the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal back earlier in the year, I wrote an article on my blog, and I said that the Skripal poisoning was targeting the May government. It was targeting a lot of different things. And now I think about it, Theresa May came out and when her initial reaction was to want to take Russia out of the financial system in the City of London. She wanted to remove the Russian banks from being able to do any business at all in the UK. I wonder why. Okay, this was an attempt by Browder and company to try and shut down everything then. The Skripal poisoning was part of that because these guys are all involved in the Fusion GPS with Christopher Steele and the Trump dossier, and the whole thing is this one big web of attempting to cut Trump off from being able to reverse this policy. And it's nothing but move, counter move, thrust, counter thrust, back and forth, and that's what we're seeing in real time. That's what's happening. Because in no way, manner, shape, or form do any of these guys want to truly be outed for what they've done. Because what they've done will land them in a Russian prison. The same Russian prison that killed Sergei Magnitsky. It's almost like I wrote that. All right, you guys have a great afternoon. You take care. We'll talk soon. Keep your stick on the ice.